Hey everyone, welcome to another deep dive. Today we're looking at this blog post from Director's Corner, and it's all about volunteering.
Director's Corner. I like them.
Yeah, and why it's like so important for all of us. And Director's Corner really seems to champion this idea that it's how we really connect with the communities we serve, beyond just, the services we offer and all that. And I think they make some really good points.
I think what I like about it is that they go beyond just, the sort of like warm, fuzzy feeling of volunteering, and they really get down to like how it benefits funeral professionals,
Yeah.
specifically like both personally and professionally.
Okay, so let's unpack that.
Yeah.
So they lay out like 5 main reasons why they think it's so beneficial. And this first one really like resonated with me.
Okay.
Strengthening community bonds.
Yeah.
They argue that like when we volunteer, we're showing up for people outside of the context of a funeral.
Right.
And that builds trust in a different way.
Yeah. And it humanizes us too,
Yeah.
Like instead of just being the funeral director,
Right.
you're, the guy at the food bank or you're the soccer coach.
Right. Right.
You're just like a member of the community.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're not just showing up when there's a death.
Exactly.
And I think that's especially important given, all the sensitivities around death and grief. It's like we're building bridges of understanding and empathy
Right.
before those difficult times even arise.
And that leads to the next point that Director's Corner makes about enhancing professional reputation.
Oh, yeah.
If a family is choosing between 2 funeral homes
Right.
and they see that one funeral director is out there volunteering and they're, really involved in the community,
Yeah.
they might be more likely to choose that one.
It shows you're invested in a broader sense.
Exactly.
So it's not just about doing good, it's about positioning yourself as part of the community
Yeah.
in a way that reflects your values and builds trust. Okay, so that's 2 really good points. But this next one, really kind of got me thinking.
Okay.
Developing new skills and perspectives.
Yeah.
How do they connect volunteering
Yeah.
to actually becoming better at our jobs?
I think that's a great question because a lot of people wouldn't necessarily connect the two.
Right.
But, they say that volunteering exposes us to a whole range of experiences that we
Yeah.
might not necessarily see at the funeral home every day.
Okay.
So, for example, let's say you volunteer to facilitate a grief support group.
Mhm.
That could help you with your communication skills,
Okay.
with active listening skills. And those are obviously very important
Yeah.
when you're working with families
Right.
who are grieving or, maybe you volunteer at a hospice.
Yeah.
You're going to get firsthand experience with end-of-life care.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So you're going to learn about the emotional and the practical needs of patients and families.
It's like expanding your toolkit.
Exactly. And it's not even just about like skills, like you're also broadening your perspective.
Right.
You're meeting people from different cultures, from different socioeconomic backgrounds.
Yeah.
And that can help you become more adaptable and more understanding,
Right.
especially when you're serving a really diverse community,
Yeah.
which, most of us are these days.
That's a really great point. It's like these seemingly unrelated activities
Right.
can actually make you better at your job,
Exactly.
and it's serving families.
Yeah.
That's really interesting.
It's by connecting the dots,
Yeah.
between our volunteer work and our professional growth. Okay, so we've talked about like skills and perspectives.
Yeah.
But Director's Corner also gets into something that I think is really interesting. They say volunteering can actually reduce stress
Oh, wow.
and improve our well-being.
Really?
And that might seem a little counterintuitive.
Yeah, especially with this job,
Right, exactly, especially with the long hours.
Yeah.
The emotional demands everything.
It does not sound relaxing.
But their point is that when we shift our focus outwards, towards helping other people,
Okay.
it can kind of provide this like emotional balance.
Okay. I see.
You're replenishing your own reserves of empathy and compassion.
Oh, so you're not getting drained by constantly, dealing with grief and loss,
Right.
but you're actually kind of getting recharged by helping others.
Exactly. And there's actually a lot of research that supports this,
Yeah.
showing that volunteering is linked to like lower stress levels, reduced risk of depression,
Wow.
even improved physical health.
Oh,
It's like this virtuous cycle where giving back actually makes us stronger.
that's pretty cool.
And that leads right into their next point about finding fulfillment and purpose.
Oh, yeah.
They argue that, volunteering allows us to connect with something bigger than ourselves,
Right.
to make a tangible difference in other people's lives. And that can be really rewarding, especially in a job like ours.
Right. Where you're dealing with death every day.
Exactly. So it's like we're finding meaning and purpose outside of the funeral home.
Okay. I liked it a lot.
Yeah. And then their last point is about building stronger connections with other professionals in the community.
Okay.
And this is where it gets really interesting because they're suggesting we look beyond just grief support organizations
Okay.
and consider volunteering in places where we'll interact with like a wider range of professionals.
So, like, where are they thinking?
Well, they list a bunch of different places, like hospice care, senior centers,
Okay.
schools, youth programs, even charitable organizations, disaster relief efforts.
Wow, that's really thinking outside the box.
It is. It's about becoming part of the fabric of the community.
Yeah.
Building relationships with social workers, therapists, teachers, healthcare providers,
Right.
just a whole network of people who are also dedicated to serving others.
And I imagine having those connections could be really helpful for us professionally.
Absolutely. It could lead to referrals, collaborations,
Right.
and just a deeper understanding of the resources that are available to the families we serve.
I actually have some experience with that. A few years ago, I volunteered at a hospice near me. Nothing too fancy. I mostly spent time with patients, helped families get a break from caregiving, and did some office work.
So you were providing that human connection when people need it most?
It was really rewarding. I learned so much about listening and being present, just being there for someone's emotions without trying to fix anything. And honestly, it helped me work through my own feelings about death and grief. It gave me a new way of looking at things. It's not about doing something. It's about just being there for someone without judging them.
That's amazing. It's like what Director's Corner says about personal growth. Volunteering isn't just about helping others. It's about growing our own empathy and compassion.
For sure. It was a good reminder that even small acts of kindness can make a big difference. And they also specifically mentioned volunteering with veteran organizations,
Yeah.
which I thought was interesting.
It's so important,
Yeah.
to recognize the unique challenges that veterans face.
Right.
Things like grief and loss and PTSD.
Yeah, we can help with that.
Exactly. We can offer companionship, support resources.
Yeah.
We can help them plan, meaningful funeral services that really honor their service.
Okay, so it's really about like stepping outside of our usual roles.
Yeah.
And recognizing that we have these skills and compassion
Yeah.
that can be used in a lot of different ways.
Exactly. And that's what Director's Corner is really emphasizing, that
Yeah.
we have so much to offer,
Okay.
both as professionals and just as people.
So we've covered like the why of volunteering.
Yeah.
But let's talk about like the how you know.
Oh, okay.
Because you've mentioned all these different opportunities.
Right.
How do we even choose where to start?
Well, Director's Corner suggests starting with a little self-assessment,
Okay.
What are we passionate about?
Um,
What skills do we want to develop or share? What causes resonate with us personally? And just as important, what are our limitations?
Yeah, we all have busy lives.
Exactly how much time and energy can we realistically dedicate to volunteering?
Yeah, it's about finding something that, works for you and for the community.
Exactly. And they also encourage us to be creative,
Okay.
Like maybe there's a local senior center that needs help organizing like outings and trips.
Yeah.
And maybe you love planning events. Or, maybe a nearby school needs someone to talk to the kids
Yeah.
about grief and loss.
Right.
And you happen to have a knack for connecting with young people.
I really like that they're pushing us to think outside of, you
Yeah.
know, the typical funeral director role.
Yeah. And they also remind us that even small things can make a difference.
Yeah.
Like even if you don't have a lot of time, maybe you can donate to a food bank or offer your services
Right.
at a reduced cost to families who are struggling.
It all helps.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that every contribution matters.
Mm-hmm.
And, we can't talk about this without talking about burnout.
Right. Yeah. It's a real issue.
It is. And Director's Corner acknowledges that they know how emotionally demanding this job can be.
Yeah.
And they actually suggest that volunteering can help.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, because when we're feeling drained and overwhelmed, shifting our focus to helping others
Yeah.
can actually replenish our emotional reserves.
So it's like a reminder that there's still good in the world.
Exactly. It reminds us of the resilience of people,
Yeah.
the power of connection, and the fact that even small acts of kindness
Mhm.
can have a big impact.
So as we wrap up here, what's the one thing you want listeners to take away from this?
I think Director's Corner is really issuing a challenge to all of us
Okay.
to go beyond just serving families,
Yeah.
to make volunteering a part of who we are. Okay.
Not just as professionals, but as members of our community.
And using our skills and experience to help others.
Exactly. because,
Mhm.
we have so much to offer.
We really do.
We have this deep understanding of, the human experience.
Right.
And that can be so valuable to other people.
And it's not just about them, it's about us too.
Exactly. It's about growing as individuals,
Yeah.
finding more purpose in our lives.
Yeah. Finding that fulfillment.
Mm-hmm. So as we finish up this deep dive into Director's Corner's blog post, what's the main message you want our listeners to take away?
I think the biggest takeaway is that we all have something valuable to give. Our experiences, our empathy, our understanding of the human experience. Those are all strengths, and they can truly make a difference in people's lives.
And it doesn't have to be some big grand gesture.
No, not at all. Even small acts of service can have a ripple effect. Maybe you volunteer for an hour a week at a local hospice, or join the board of a community center, or just be a listening ear for a friend who's grieving. Every act of kindness makes a difference.
Director's Corner has definitely opened our eyes to the possibilities. So to our listener, we ask you this. What are you passionate about? What change do you want to see in your community? And how can you use your skills and experiences to make that change happen? Take that first step and see where it leads you. You might be surprised by the impact you can make.